Hey everyone, Mr. DVB here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2022. So far, it's shaping up to be a really good year for film. There's a lot of movies coming out this year that I am excited for, and because of that, I will have a few honorable mentions to go over before I get onto my actual list. The first honorable mention is going to be for Halloween Ends. Now, there's a lot of people who really did not like Halloween Kills. I was not one of them. I actually enjoyed the movie for what it was. There was definitely some writing and story issues, but it gave me what I wanted for the most part, which was Michael Myers killing people in brutal ways. That being said, I am worried about Halloween Ends. Basically, everything that David Gordon Green has said about this movie so far just confuses me. The fact that the movie is going to be taking place a few years after the previous film is just an odd decision. The fact that it's going to be including the COVID-19 pandemic into its storyline, I find kind of stupid, honestly, and just all those things, they just sound like a very weird direction for the movie to go in. That being said, I'm still hoping for a really good final showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael, so if it can give us that, then I'll be happy. My next honorable mention is for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Now, if you go back to my review for the first Aquaman movie, I loved it back then, but I do not at all stand by those thoughts anymore. I think the movie is really mediocre, to be completely honest. I feel like it has way too much going on in it. It's very campy, and I've just never been a fan of the tone. That being said, I am still kind of looking forward to the second film. I think that having Aquaman team up with his brother Orm, who was the villain in the previous movie, is an interesting concept, and I think that'll be something kind of cool to see. Obviously, people are drawing comparisons to Loki and Thor. Makes sense, but I do think it'll be kind of an interesting thing for them to do. Having Black Manta as the main villain is going to be great. He was one of the really cool parts of the first film. Hopefully it just delivers on all the action and stuff, because the first movie was really good for that. My biggest worry is just that this movie is going to be too large-scale. The first one was really large-scaled. At this point, I would say it's probably the largest-scaled DC film in this current franchise. And there was just a new location like every scene in that movie. So I'm hoping this film kind of dials it back a bit and has a more cohesive story. And lastly, my final honorable mention is going to be for Black Adam. Now, initially, I was kind of skeptical about this film. I wasn't a huge fan of the idea of a solo Black Adam movie. I would have rather just had, Shazam 2 with Black Adam as the villain. But once I heard that Dwayne Johnson was going to be taking on the role, and once I heard that they were going to be including characters like Atom Smasher, Dr. Fate, and Hawkman, I started to get quite excited, because those are all characters who I really like from the comics and from the animated shows and whatnot. And so seeing them all, on screen for the first time is going to be pretty awesome, honestly. So I'm looking forward to the movie more than I was initially, and that little clip we saw of it a few months ago I actually thought was pretty decent, so I am looking forward to the movie for sure. Alright, so with those honorable mentions out of the way, we can finally head into the actual top 10 most anticipated movies of 2022. Coming in 10th place for me is going to be Avatar 2. Now this one's kind of a weird pick for me because I haven't watched the original Avatar film in probably 8 years or so. It's been a super long time. I was never a huge fan of it. It was obviously a visually stunning movie, but I can't really say much about the story or anything. I just don't remember much about this movie at all. That being said, I am looking forward to seeing the second one. I think James Cameron is a phenomenal director when it comes to a visual standpoint. No matter what he makes, it's going to be gorgeous. And the concept art I've seen and stuff from this film looks really unique. I'm questioning whether or not we need 4 sequels, but I do think, seeing another, Avatar film will be kind of an interesting thing. Again, this is a movie I'm very intrigued by. It's not necessarily one that I'm going in with high hopes, but I am certainly intrigued. He's been working on this film for so long, and so it'll be nice to finally see, how the visuals are going to stack up to everything else that's been released in the meantime. In 9th place for me is Mission Impossible 7. Now, this might seem low for some people, especially because Mission Impossible Fallout was my favorite movie of 2018, and overall, I would definitely say this is a franchise I really like. But when I look back on it, I wasn't even really excited for Fallout going into it until I heard about the phenomenal reviews. These are movies that when I watch them, I definitely think they're great, but I guess I just don't have a whole lot of excitement going in for them. Also, on top of that, we don't really have anything, to talk about with this film yet as far as trailers or anything go. There's been nothing released. The film was pushed to November, so I don't really have a whole lot to go off of going into this movie's release excitement-wise. I'm definitely, looking forward to it, and I'm sure it's going to be great, but as of right now, there's not really a lot for me to base my excitement off of. In 8th place is Killers of the Flower Moon. This is the newest movie from Martin Scorsese. It has a stacked cast: Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Brendan Fraser, Jesse Plemons, and a lot of other people. Martin Scorsese is obviously one of the best directors of all time, and a lot of those actors I just mentioned are great, especially, we're going to see Brendan Fraser again, which is awesome to see, and that guy's been having a pretty solid comeback over the past few years, and I look forward to everything he does. But yeah, I mean, I obviously love Martin Scorsese, director, and the story for this film, I don't know too much about it. From what I understand, it's based on true events about some like oil company or something, and there was a murder involved with this. Again, I don't know too much about the story. I know it's set in like the 20s, but I'm definitely really intrigued by this movie, and the cast alone and the director just get me really excited for it. So Killers of the Flower Moon, really looking forward to checking this one out. In 7th place, we have The Northmen, which is the newest film from director Robert Eggers, who directed my personal favorite movie of 2019, which is The Lighthouse. I absolutely love that movie, and so I am really excited to see what he does next. This movie looks quite different from him. I technically have not seen The Witch, so I've only really seen one of his movies, but, when you look at, scenes and stuff from The Witch, it does look kind of like similar in style to The Lighthouse. Northman looks very different from this. Definitely looks like a more cinematic movie. The aspect ratio is different. It's not an A24 film. But it does look just as intriguing as those movies did. You have a really good cast, lots of actors here: Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Willem Dafoe, Anya Taylor-Joy, a bunch of others. The trailer was great in my opinion. It looks really well shot. It looks like a good revenge story with some kind of weird elements going on there. And I'm just looking forward to checking it out for sure. Great director, and I really look forward to seeing this project. In 6th place for me, kind of a controversial pick, is Uncharted. This is the film on this list that I think is probably going to end up being the weakest. There was a new clip released recently, which did not exactly thrill me. The editing was not very good in it, and so I definitely think this film is probably going to end up being quite weak, unfortunately. But I am a massive fan of the Uncharted games. It's my favorite game series out there. The 4th game in particular is my favorite game of all time, and so I was excited when they announced an Uncharted movie, but I really, to this day, do not like the casting. I think Nathan Drake just... when I think of that character, I do not think of Tom Holland. He just does not seem like the right pick. Even for a younger version, I still don't like that casting. I know a lot of people complain about Mark Wahlberg as Sully. I'm fine with him as like a younger version of the character. I honestly don't hate it that much. I think Tom Holland's a worse casting choice in my opinion, but a lot of people seem to be the opposite way. I don't know. I mean, this movie, it looks like it's not entirely following games. It's kind of combining all of their stories and all of their set pieces and whatnot. It looks very over the top. It does actually have surprisingly good visual effects, and it looks, well enough shot from what I've seen. So visually, at least, it's good, and it's not like really crappy looking. I'm just definitely worried about the story, and like I said, the editing from the clip I saw, it was not very good. So this is a movie I'm worried about. I'm also looking forward to. I'm not expecting it to be great. I'm just a fan of the series, and I'm hoping that they can do it justice, but I don't know. In 5th place, we have Top Gun Maverick, a movie that has been delayed so many damn times. Every time I see a movie in IMAX, I see the trailer for this film, and I've been seeing this trailer ever since, like, Rise of Skywalker. It annoys me so much, but this is a movie that I am looking forward to. It's just kind of getting annoying for me every time I go to the theater having to watch the trailer for this film. I watched the first Top Gun twice last year for the first time. Really liked it. It's a very cheesy, outdated film, but it's enjoyable for the most part, and I think, a sequel sounds like it could be a lot of fun. It looks great from the trailers as far as, like, a visual standpoint. A lot of those IMAX shots and, like, the jets and stuff with, like, the camera mounted on them. It looks phenomenal. Like, I cannot wait to see this film in a, big IMAX auditorium. I don't know how the story will be. I could kind of see this being, like, an Independence Day resurgence situation where it's, like, a few decades after the original and it just ends up being, like, a really crappy storyline. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping this movie can turn out to be really good. Time will tell. But yeah, I mean, you've got a solid cast. Obviously, Tom Cruise is returning in his role. You have Miles Teller and a few other, younger stars. So I don't know. I think it's going to be enjoyable. Hopefully, maybe it's going to be really cheesy. I don't know. Like, we'll find out. But it's definitely a film I'm looking forward to checking out. In 4th place, we have a film that is coming out fairly soon, and that is Scream. This movie is coming out in less than 2 weeks. I love the Scream films. The first Scream is my favorite slasher of all time, and so I'm obviously very excited for a 5th Scream film. I wish they were calling it Scream 5 and not just Scream. I think that's kind of annoying, but whatever. There's only been, like, one trailer for this movie, and it looked really good in my opinion. It looks more serious than the other films, but from what I've heard, it's still quite funny. There were some, like, first reactions today, and they're all very positive. But yeah, I mean, I love the Scream franchise. Obviously, Wes Craven is not directing this since he passed away a few years ago. But all the cast members are back. Like, you have Nev Campbell and all the other actors. So I'm definitely, just excited to go back into this series. The trailer, like I said, it looked quite good. It looks more serious. It looks just entertaining, and I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be nice to have a good slasher film, especially one coming out so soon. I'm really hoping theaters don't close where I live. They're closing a lot over the country and a lot of the other provinces, so I'm hoping this film, can come out before then. But yeah, really looking forward to checking out Scream. In third place for me is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now, originally, like a few months ago, I was still looking forward to this movie, but it was definitely lower on my list. But, since seeing Spider-Man No Way Home and since seeing the trailer for Doctor Strange, I'm definitely getting really hyped up for this film. I think that, Sam Raimi directing this movie is going to be great. I'm hoping he brings his visual style to this movie. I think that would be awesome if that happens. But the trailer just looks great. I mean, visually, the movie does look fantastic. It has all of the awesome mind-bending effects and stuff that were present in the first movie. The story looks intriguing. They're going to be exploring more of the multiverse. I'm hoping this film does it in like a natural way. I liked how they did it in No Way Home, but I'm really hoping that isn't just going to be all fan service stuff, like just bringing in characters from other universes. I am hoping that they'll be exploring it in a bit of a different sense. Having Doctor Strange, Supreme or whatever his name is, as the villain, I think is going to be great. That was really cool. We've got Gargantos, like that giant eyeball squid thing. So there's definitely some really cool elements going into this movie. Wanda's going to be teaming up with Doctor Strange, which I think is going to be great. So I'm really, really looking forward to this film. The trailer was great in my opinion, and I cannot wait to check this out. In second place for me is Jurassic World Dominion. Now, this is probably, a lot higher than it would be for most people. I know a lot of people were not a fan of Jurassic World, whatever the second one was called. I actually liked, Fallen Kingdom. I actually liked the movie. I definitely have some issues with it. I've only seen it the one time, which is in theaters, so maybe I'll hate it on rewatch. I don't know. But I recall, enjoying it. I thought the first half was solid. The second half didn't work that much, but there was still some kind of cool stuff with the Indoraptor. And this film was finally giving us what I've been wanting from this franchise for so long, which is a movie where the dinosaurs are just out in the open. Obviously, they teased that in The Lost World, but now it's finally happening. All of these creatures just roaming all over the place. No more park, no more zoo or anything. They're just out in the open. And I think that's going to be pretty exciting. You get a lot of the old returning cast back. Ian Malcolm is going to be in the movie, played by Jeff Goldblum. We're going to be seeing Sam Neill reprise his role, Laura Dern. So getting all of those actors back, I think, is going to be great. On top of that, Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are in the movie still, so seeing all of these characters come together, I think is going to be pretty exciting. That IMAX teaser that we saw a while ago, where they had the dinosaurs back in the prehistoric ages, I thought that was a pretty cool scene, and just seeing that, I thought was a cool idea for an opening for this movie. So really excited for this film. I thought it was supposed to be the last Jurassic World movie, but apparently they're talking about making another one, which I think is kind of annoying, but whatever. Still really excited for this movie. And finally, landing in first place for me, it should be quite obvious at this point, my most anticipated movie of 2022 is The Batman, and this film's only coming out on March 4th, which is not that far away from now. I'm hoping this film doesn't get delayed. I think it might, but anyways, that out of the way, I mean, I cannot wait for this movie. I'm a huge Batman fan. It's my favorite comic book character and probably my favorite, fictional character of all time, if I'm being honest. And so I cannot wait for this movie to come out. This, to me, looks like the most accurate depiction we've ever seen of the character. I obviously love the Dark Knight trilogy, and those are some of my favorite movies ever made, but this just looks like the truest, adaptation of the character we've seen yet. It's focusing a lot on the detective aspect. It looks like it's going to be dark and gritty. The action looks phenomenal. There's so many aspects I'm looking forward to. The film looks beautiful. The cinematography is phenomenal. There's so many shots I love. They're nailing the look of Gotham. It's not just some regular city. It looks, like it does in the comics and like it does in the video games. It has that Gothic architecture with the neon lights and the billboards and everything. Paul Dano as the Riddler is just perfect casting. He's not somebody I would have thought of initially, but as soon as I heard that, I was like, that is literally perfect. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman looks great. Colin Farrell as Penguin looked awesome. I cannot wait for this movie. I don't think I've been this excited for I guess I was really hyped for No Way Home, but I haven't been this excited for a film besides No Way Home in a very long time. I cannot wait to check this film out. It's really really soon, and yeah, it just looks amazing from everything we've seen so far. So there you go, guys. Those are my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2022. Let me know what your list is down below, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.